Hi, I'm Rahel Philipose, and you are listening to Three Things, the Indian Express News Show. In this episode, we talk about spy balloons and how the Indian Army is planning a way to detect them. We also give you an update on the Amshipora killings. But first, we talk about migrant workers in Tamil Nadu. Recently, 2 videos went viral in which allegedly Hindi-speaking migrant workers were being beaten up in Tamil Nadu. Both the videos were shared widely on social media platforms, including WhatsApp, and caused panic and fear among the Hindi-speaking community in the state. Now, even though the state police have called the videos false and mischievous, both manufacturers and industry leaders are worried right now that the state of panic could result in North Indian laborers leaving Tamil Nadu. In this segment, the Indian Express's Arun Janardhanan joins us to talk about these fears. So Arun, before we talk about the latest crisis, can you tell us how crucial migrant workers are for the state?
So if you look at Tamil Nadu, the migrant workers or interstate migrants, it's a significant working force, the labor force in the state, because Tamil Nadu is one of the states with maximum number of factories, production. The latest or the last government data, sometime in 2016 or 17, it shows that Tamil Nadu has about 10 lakh migrant workers. And most of them are coming from Odisha, Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, even some from UP. These are the major sending states of migrant workers. So if you look at the trains from north to south, they are mainly carrying hundreds and hundreds of migrant workers who are coming to Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Bangalore, also Karnataka urban pockets. So migrant labor force or without migrant labor force can say that the production activities, trade and a lot of business things will come to standstill in these states.
And apart from the prevalence of industries, what's the other reason that so many workers migrate to Tamil Nadu?
So the reason for that is, of course, jobs, unemployment, and poor prospects, and seeing or realizing that people who migrated or the families with at least 1 or 2 migrants only have prospered. And of course, when people in Tamil Nadu and Kerala or most of the southern states, the education levels are better than the many northern states like Bihar and UP. So the level of migration or the migration routes, of course, depend on the scope of jobs they can find. And when we spoke to many employers from anecdotes of many migrant workers who are coming from north to south, we can see that there are a lot of factors, including a better opportunities compared to their native states. For example, a Bihar worker and a couple of contractors were telling me yesterday that they get paid 75 to 100 or 150 rupees in Bihar. For the same work, they get paid 400 rupees or even 500 rupees in Tamil Nadu. And the employers in Tamil Nadu, they prefer this North Indian working force because they will be more convenient in terms of the spending, because they need to spend only maximum 600 or 700 rupees against a Tamil Nadu worker's remuneration of 100,000 or 1,200. At the same time, for these workers, they said they are getting more than double from what they would be getting in their native states. And also, in terms of working environment, the people we met yesterday at a Gindi construction site, as well as one in Velachiri in Chennai, both are within Chennai city. So they were saying that their life is not luxurious or great. Of course, they are all living in not very comfortable places, maybe in terms of the number of toilets for 100 people or 80 workers. They don't have adequate facilities, but still they get more money, and the work environment or the kind of employers are not intimidating. And some of them told me that they get respect better than their native places.
Right. And now let's talk about this worry that North Indian migrant workers might leave the state. We know that this is happening after 2 videos went viral. So tell us more about that.
So first of all, the kind of incidents that were reported in social media, and it was tweeted and shared by a lot of people, including some BJP leaders. Some of them were booked by Tamil Nadu police already. So if you look at identified videos, all these cases where issues happened in totally unrelated situations. For example, a video shared as an attack on Bihari workers by Tamils in Tirupur was actually a clash between the people from the same state. in another clash video from Coimbatore, it was actually not a clash between Tamils and North Indian workers, but the local Coimbatore residents. There were a couple of other videos, again, claiming that they happened in Tamil Nadu, but they were from Karnataka. Another video was from Hyderabad. So police has come out with explanations, clarifications. They were taking these videos to some of the work sites to tell workers that these are false reports and to worry. If you look at the outcome of these rumors and lot of fake news spread by seemingly credible people and leaders, we can see that we cannot say that there is an exodus, because these 2-3 weeks are also known for hundreds of people going to their natives for holy leave. These are mostly pre-planned trips, but most of the workers who go for holy leave have left last week itself. But the number of people who have left Tamil Nadu in the last 3-4 days are most likely due to this fear also. That is what we are told. In Coimbatore, for example, Coimbatore SIPCOT is an industrial unit where there are some more than 20,000 migrant workers from other states. At least 2,000 of them have left out of this fear in the last 3 or 4 days. That is the information we got from the industry people working there. So there is no exodus situation so far, or the exodus situation was averted. The government stepped in, they issued clarifications. But still, of course, there is a panic because these workers' families, their wives and mothers, seeing a lot of news reports, video clippings published in prominent channels in some northern states. So all these have triggered a panic in their natives. So even if they claim that, there are no issues and they are safe, they are helpless. They are being forced to return in some cases.
And Arun, can you tell us what are the kinds of things that employers and the government are doing to make sure that these workers feel more comfortable and continue to work in the state? Especially if they do end up leaving, it will impact industries in the state, right?
Of course, that will have an impact if that is going to happen. And people who did not go for holy leave and they suddenly plan to leave the city or the units, the employers are trying to hold them back. So most of the people in such cases, the workers together, they demanded for special vehicles to go to the work site from their accommodations, from the lodges and places where they live. In some cases, some construction and builder companies, they promise that they will provide accommodation at the work site itself and that they don't have to use the public transport in that case. Also, there are cases of employers providing food so that these people, migrant workers, need not to go to the hotels and eat, as they say usually. So there are these kind of steps besides, the people from security guards to contractors to employers and even owners coming in person and speaking to them, telling them this is false. But I happened to see a lot of cell phones yesterday of workers, and they were all showing me hundreds and hundreds of video links. A lot of news clippings all appeared in Bihar and some other states, mostly in Hindi. So that is the level of the reach of these reports that we know that they are fake. And some 12 Bihari people were murdered in Tamil Nadu for speaking Hindi. That was one of the news shared by some prominent handles, including Bihar BJP unit, without any verification. So that is how these reports got a credibility. That is why the authorities or even employers are struggling to convince these workers that they are false.
And next we talk about spy balloons. Last year, a spy balloon was spotted over the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, but this is only being talked about now because of the Chinese spy balloon that was recently spotted over the US airspace. An incident that had again led to tension between the two countries. Now, the United States right now doesn't have a system that can identify whether an object is a spy balloon or not. This is something that it is still working on. And it turns out so is the Indian Army. The armed forces have been working on a set of protocols to identify these objects and a course of action in case such an object is seen in the Indian airspace again. To talk about these protocols, the Indian Express's Amrita Nayak Dutta joins us in the segment. So, Amrita, can you first tell us about the incident where a spy balloon was spotted over Andaman last year?
So yes, a spy balloon was reportedly spotted atop the Andaman and Nicobar Islands about a year ago. And it could not be ascertained what's the origin of the balloon. because before that could be done, the object had drifted towards the ocean before even the military authorities could decide what to do with it. So yes, this was an incident that apparently came to light, just recently when we got to know about this Chinese spy balloon that was flying over the key military installations of the US. But yes, it did not gather so much attention as you would see it did in the US incident.
And do we know why the Andaman? I mean, one would assume a spy balloon would be sent to gather intel in a conflict zone like the LOC, or in the areas in eastern Ladakh where India and China have been engaged in a standoff for the past 2 years. But what is the strategic importance of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands?
So eastern Ladakh, of course, is a place where a military standoff between India and China is on. However, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are strategically very important. The islands house the Tri-Service Andaman and Nicobar Military Command. And what also makes these islands very important is their proximity to the Indo-Pacific, as well as to major choke points, or what you call the sea lines of communication in the Bay of Bengal. This includes the Malacca Strait, the Sunda Strait, the Lombok Strait, and the Mumbai-Vitar Straits. So what are these straits important for? Most of the world shipping trade passes through these choke points. And these islands also offer India the potential to play a critical role towards enhancing its influence in the Indian Ocean region, and also supports its various military operation that it undertakes in the Bay of Bengal and in the Indian Ocean. So yes, that way Andamans are very important, and Andamans, a lot of infrastructure work is also going on there in the last couple of years. So yes, in many ways, they play a very key role in India's military realm.
Right. And after this incident, the army drafted a basic set of protocols. Can you tell us what this protocol includes?
So what happened at that time, the balloons were a very unheard sort of a threat. Nobody could really think that a balloon could spy over some key military sites. Because balloons are slow moving, they are very difficult to detect, as against a missile or a fighter aircraft, for instance. So what happened when the balloon was spotted last year? The Indian military, they sort of came out with a very basic set of protocols, I would say. The protocols basically talk about the sequence of action in case an unidentified, a slow-moving aerial object of a balloon-like nature is spotted, which includes detection, identifying it properly so as to rule out that it's a civilian asset, and its verification, targeting using a suitable platform, a suitable aircraft and a missile system. And this would be followed by photographing the target in detail, or drafting a detailed report on it, and also analyzing its wreckage if that is recovered. So yes, basically these are the sort of protocols, if you would say, that were drafted. But then the protocol talks about various aspects. For example, if an aircraft has to be deployed, so it has to be seen at what altitude the target is. Based on that, the aircraft would be selected. And then the missile system, what will shoot down this particular object? So that will be selected as well based on that. So this could be various missile systems or various weapon systems. So it will all be decided based on how big the target is, or what is the altitude of the target, and studying it in detail, taking into account various considerations. So yes, these are some of the protocols, I would say, that were put in place.
And Amrita, are there any challenges that the officials think will come in the way of implementing these protocols?
Absolutely, because balloons are slow moving and they cannot be detected by satellites or by radars. So as we also said in our story this morning, we also mentioned that because our radars cannot easily detect it, and not just our radars, even the US, which has got the latest and the most sophisticated military equipment, even they couldn't detect it easily. So yes, the thing is that because of its slow moving nature, a balloon cannot be detected. So what can be done is to send up aircraft or send up drones to have a close look at the object and exactly find out what it is. Is it really a spy balloon, or is it just a civilian asset, for which, shooting it down would be called an unnecessary use of force. So yes, that's why the protocols were set up, because positive identification is one of the major steps. A positive identification means you identify it really well and you rule out all possibilities of it being any other civilian asset. So you have to be really sure of what it is. And then, of course, you select the platforms and the weapon systems to take it down. But yes, if you ask me, that is a major challenge to identify it, what exactly it is, because it will leave no radar signature. It will skip the attention of the radars. So it's very difficult to figure out what exactly it is. It has to be done in the military way.
And in the end, we give you an update on the Amshipora killings. On Monday, army officials told the paper that an army court had recommended life imprisonment for a captain involved in the staged killings of 3 men at Amshipora in Jammu and Kashmir's Shopian district. On 18th July 2020, the 3 people from Jammu's Rajouri district were killed and branded terrorists by troops under the officer's command in the Shopian district. They were shot down in what many termed as cold-blooded murders. The army claimed to have recovered 2 pistols from the slain men. The killings, however, came under suspicion after the police disassociated themselves from the gunfight, saying it was based on army input and that they joined it only later. The 3 people were discreetly buried in a graveyard in North Kashmir. In August 2020, 3 families approached the Rajouri police saying that they had gone missing from Kashmir when they had gone out for work. The family said that the trio had travelled to the valley through the Shopian mountains on foot. A day later, when pictures of their bodies were leaked on social media, the families identified them as the missing trio, forcing the army to issue a brief statement saying they were investigating the matter. In the same month, a police team from Shopian went to Rajouri to collect DNA samples from the families to match them with samples taken from the slain labourers. The army, however, did not term the killings as staged and said that the police were investigating them. And in September, the army said its preliminary inquiry had prima facie concluded that 3 killed people had been the 3 labourers from Rajouri. 7 days later, the DNA tests confirmed this evidence. And in October, their bodies were exhumed and returned to the families for their burial, making it the first acknowledgement that these 3 were innocent civilians. Captain Bhupendra Singh, alias Major Bashir Khan, was court-martialed after a court of inquiry and a subsequent summary of evidence found that troops under his command had exceeded their power under the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. The summary of evidence conducted by the army had found Captain Singh culpable of the killings. This life sentence, however, will be finalized only after higher army authorities confirm it. An official said, and I quote, "The Indian Army stands firm on its principle of conducting ethical operations and has zero tolerance towards human rights violations and cases of misdemeanor," unquote. PDP President Mehbooba Mufti welcomed the recommendations for awarding a life sentence to the captain, calling it a welcome step towards creating accountability in such cases. According to official data, the government received 116 complaints about human rights violations allegedly committed by the Army and the Indian Air Force between 2017 and July 2022, out of which 108 complaints were against the Army. In 2020, the Army established a human rights cell at its headquarters to handle cases of human rights violations. You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was hosted by me, Rahel Philipose, and written and produced by Utsa Sarmin with the help of Shashank Bhargava. It was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone who you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.